Welcome everybody to the Thread and TimeZest joint webinar. Super stoked to have you. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get things kicked off. I am here with Seth and Mark. You guys want to go ahead and do a quick intro for the people?
Yes, happy to start. Seth, do you want to kick us off?
Certainly. Name's Seth Wilson, VP of Operations at TimeZest. Been here for about a year at TimeZest. You might recognize me from previously with Cloud Radio. Very excited to show you guys the integration today.
Amazing. And hi all, I'm Marc Rosa, head of product here at Thread. Similar to Seth, I've been over here for just over a year, working closely with our founder, Mark and Matt, on building really good products, great products from you. I'm also Houston-based. I have a 2-year-old toddler named Milo. So when I'm not doing product work, I'm mitigating tantrums. It's a great topic for a different webinar. Happy to explore that with the three of us here for a different time.
Awesome. I would love to attend that. And I'm Maggie. I do marketing at Thread. Happy to be your MC today. Awesome. Let's give a little intro into Thread.
Fantastic. For those, I see a few, like I said, I see a few folks who are familiar with Thread, but for those who are new to what we do, here at Thread, we are an ITSX platform. We power end-to-end chat support for MSPs so that MSPs can provide a really magical experience for customers wherever they work. We are all about death to the ticket. If you go to getthread.com, you'll see our vision and our POV about the death to the ticket and how we make chat magic, how we make Thread and service magical through threads instead of tickets. We focus on a magical experience that propagates for not just the end customer and that contact, but also for the technician as well. And so we'll talk a little bit today and we'll walk through a bit of our product line so you can see a little bit more of that in action here. Now, when we talk about Thread, it's not just about experience, about good user experience, and about retaining these customers for the long term through a highly opinionated experiential service experience. It's also about efficiency. We see that this magical experience propagates into efficiencies for both that technician and that end customer. When we talk to partners, they talk about seeing 30% decrease in time to resolution. We see that efficiency is increased from having these really natural back and forth chats instead of these long-winded threads through email or through phone, 80% increase in efficiency, as well as a 52% reduction in cost per interaction. That overall, by chatting with customers where they are versus sending them to some sort of portal through email or through a phone, we see overall that it's not just a better, more delightful experience, but that end-to-end chat experience provides a better, more efficient service experience for everyone involved.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Mark. All right, Seth, do you want to jump in and tell us about TimeZest?
Yeah. And TimeZest, we're laser focused on one problem, really. And that is scheduling ping pong. It's the back and forth between you and the client when you know it's time to set up an appointment to deal with something. Right, in the left-hand side, you can see that sort of very familiar back and forth, right? Do you have this time available? No, what about this time? No, what about this time? Calendly did the research. We'll let them do it because they got the big bucks. But it's an average of 7.3 touches that go back and forth between you and a client when you're trying to set up an appointment. And then when you need to reschedule that appointment, another 7.3 touches. And what that typically means, right, and where you can kind of see the evidence of that is your text timesheets, right? How many times do you see when you're reviewing those timesheets? Left voicemail, trying to, set up some time to talk, send an email to schedule. We reduce those 7.3 touches down to typically just one back and forth. Here's a link to schedule, and allow you to move on with your day. Go to the next slide. So, in general, right, we started at the service desk, trying to solve that problem for the service team. That's why we're integrated in with PSA, like ConnectWise, Halo PSA, Autotask, to be able to give you just one workflow to do this, not have to go to a bunch of different screens, but to be able to, from a ticket, right? Or in this case, what we're about to show you from Thread, to seamlessly be able to send out that scheduling request without having to do a bunch of, stuff on other screens. And so we're thrilled to see Thread doing that kind of same sort of thing within the context of a chat. The benefits of this, right, are obviously, right, you're speeding up your day, you're saving some time for yourself, but the real benefit is this time that you're saving your clients, and you're giving them better availability. You're seeming more available instead of the couple times you throw out manually. You giving them all your availability, and just the sort of logical conclusion, and the thing that typically works out is the MSP seems more available. So in general, you can go to the next slide, right? Wasting your time is a problem, right? But making sure that you're not wasting your client's time really just lends to a much better client experience, and is a demonstration of what you're selling, right? Typically when an MSP starts using TimeZest, that's a great thing. They're reaching technical parity with the woman who cuts my hair and my massage therapist, right? People that have been using this stuff for years. It's a good look to use technology to be more profitable and productive.
Awesome. And I know this was a highly requested feature from Thread. Marc, do you want to talk about where we kind of saw the problem and having TimeZest fit in to fill that solution?
Absolutely. Yes. When we talk about TimeZest, it's very easy to talk about, and you can go to the next slide, Maggie. It's very easy to talk about scheduling and this act of creating plans or scheduling. This is easily one of our most consistent asks from our partners. They've said not just how might you support TimeZest, but how might you support the scheduling and this appointment setting within Thread in a way that's natural and organic within a normal conversation. To that end, we could not be more thrilled to show off our latest product launch, Thread Planner, which is currently in private beta, along with Planner's integration with TimeZest. We'll go through a demo in just a minute. You'll see when these two products combine together, it supercharges this really crisp end-to-end experience for scheduling. A little about scheduling and a little bit about this use case. As an MSP, you may think about scheduling in one or two ways. One is this classic internal scheduling use case. I would say about 1 out of 5 partners that we talk to do active scheduling internally with their technicians. What does that mean? When a new ticket or a thread comes in, they're not just assigning it to a technician to create some accountability there, but what oftentimes they'll do is they'll actively create an appointment within the calendar to schedule that within the day. And we find that act is creating deeper accountability to not just answer who's going to work on it, but when it's going to be worked on, which allows you to meet your SLAs and to really provide a powerful response experience for that partner. TimeZest comes into play here in a lot of use cases, because whether you're scheduling internally or working externally, oftentimes you need to meet with a customer and to make that happen. And so that's that second use case. If you are not a tried and true scheduler as an MSP, you're very frequently working with an end contact to find that time, right? To say, hey, this thing needs your help. Let's go ahead, and I physically need to be there, or I may need to be on the phone or to help you there in this really synchronous way. Let's go ahead and send your availability. Let's go ahead and schedule a link directly within this conversation. In our case, it's within chat. And in TimeZest examples, it could be beyond just chat. It could be through the ticket, through email, and other places. But it's really empowering these two individuals, the internal contact and the internal technician and the external contact, to really find the right time. Let's go ahead. Enough chatting by me. Let's go ahead and do a demo. Be forewarned, I will continue to chat, but you'll at least see a cool little screen to help walk you through it.
Awesome.
I'm going to share my screen.
This is the good stuff.
This is, it's enough chatting, Marc. I hear you loud and clear, audience. Do y'all see my screen? You should see a few pieces of our interface here. Yeah. Excellent. So I've set up what we're seeing here is we're looking at 2 products that Thread provides. One is Inbox, which is designed for service teams and that technician's experience, and then Messenger, which is designed for end customers. Now, Thread works with powers chat for all customers, whether your customers naturally live in Slack, if that is their native experience where their organization's living out of, or they're working with Teams. If contacts are living, breathing, working in Teams, you're able to power chat directly from that contact's Teams experience and then be able to create these service at requests that goes directly to the MSP here. In this case, because most of our partners work with Teams-based customers, I'm going to go ahead and lead off here with our Teams experience here. As a contact, I'm going to be able to go navigate from my a normal Teams chatter from the channels or my DMs, and I'm able to go ahead and find my MSP's space here within a dedicated tab. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create a new request, a new thread is what we call it. I'm going to go ahead and say my computer is on fire. Won't you help me? That's a really kind and gentle way, I would think. And frankly, if your computer is on fire, I do think it's worthwhile to get it fixed. So this feels like a really good thread for us to start off here. So just like that, I was able to create a thread. I'm able to see some validation that the thread was created. I'm also able to see here on the technician side, we're going to shift gears for a second, that this thread's coming in, and I'm able to see some information, a little bit about Bob Slidell, who works at Initech. His computer's on fire. That's crazy. I'm able, from an inboxing perspective, I'm able to respond to this pretty quickly and find a home for it. Now, in this case, the computer's on fire. I love my computer. I have some empathy I'm going to extend here. I think we should give this a really quick turnaround and find someone who could respond to this and meet some time to get this coordinated here. So let's go ahead and do that. You'll see as well that we have our AI products that are powering this. They're going to likely tell us that this computer on fire is a high priority one. So I expect in the next couple of seconds, yep, there it is. This is an emergency response. This computer is on fire, and we think that's a priority one. So really good feedback, AI. I appreciate that there. Now, next steps, I'm going to go ahead and assign Samir. I'll tell you what, Samir is really good at putting fires out of computers. Physical fires for physical computers. That is one of his bread and butters. And frankly, I think this is a really good fit for Samir here. So within Inbox, I'm able to make that assignment here. We're able to move this along. But I know too, this is a physical fire. This thing is raging right now. It's got to be put out. So I want Bob Slidell and Samir to meet together. I think that'd be really important, right? I'm just going to take a creative leap here, and let's make that true. Because I'm a scheduling shop, and because I know as well that this is something we should coordinate times around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to Planner, so you can also see this as well. Here's that thread. My computer's on fire. I already assigned Samir here, and I'm going to go ahead and work it from here. Planner is a request tracking and planning tool that allows me to not just plan this internally, but also plan when I can coordinate time with an end contact here. And so that's the next step I'm going to do here. I want to coordinate time. And so to do that, I'm going to use the handy dandy nifty TimeZest /command here. My account's fully integrated. I'm able to go ahead and instantiate it. I'm going to go ahead and then when I click create an appointment, I'm prompted with two questions. Who's the resource? As well as what appointment type there is. Full disclosure, there is no fire setting out appointment that I set up. I probably should have. This is the second time I've seen this in this account here. So I should probably make some sort of maybe like a 15-minute appointment, but maybe they could chat for a little bit here about this. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a link, and that creates this predefined, pre-generated prompt for my contact to read. We're going to get this going here. So that sends a message to that contact. Now that I've sent this TimeZest link, my goal is to have that contact to book time as quickly as possible and to lean on TimeZest to find the right times and the right days that work. TimeZest is really good at this, and this is why we've heard this feedback again and again from our partners. I'm not just planning internally, but I need to coordinate this time. And I wish there was a way for the contact to look at my appointment for Samir's calendar. I wish there was a way to make that really easy so I didn't have to do this back and forth ping pong here. Well, problem meets solution. I'm going to switch back to this contact experience. I'm in Teams. My computer's smoldering right now, but I still have Slack, or I still have Teams open. Lucky me, I'm just a few seconds away from my keyboard burning up, but let's see what I can get along in that time. I'm going to click this button. That allows me to see open availabilities for Samir. I'm able to see, oh, 11:30. Yeah, I'd like to meet with Samir. I think 13 minutes from now is a little bit of time. Maybe there might be more smoldering, but who knows? Let's see what happens if Samir can come to the rescue. Amazing. Just like that, I found time that worked for me, time that worked for Samir. I didn't have to ask back and forth because my keyboard is not working. It's on fire. Only my mouse is working. I'm able to get a confirmation in my inbox. Hey, this is an hour call, but a meeting time nonetheless here. And I'm able to hit meeting accepted there. Now, from a contacts experience, my job is done. I found time, I booked it, and I expect to be able to have this back and forth and continue the conversation here. Switching back to inbox, I'm able to see as a technician, when Samir joins the conversation, Samir will see that, hey, a plan is set for Samir at 12:30 Eastern time. I'm also able to see this really nice attribution that shows me that this was done through TimeZest. So I get these really nice confirmations within the thread here. I'm also able to see here on the right side within, and I'll just open the full view so you can see this a little bit more cleanly. I'm able to see as a member, I'm able to manage plans or schedules that are set for my threads or my tickets. I'm able to see just like that, 11:30 a.m. my time to 12:30 a.m. call with Bob about the computers on fire. Now, and also in the context of Planner, Planner is a Kanban style, swim lane style approach to showing schedules and plans that are there. As Samir, I'm able to take a look at my backlog, and I'm able to look at my tasks for today. And I'm able to say, perfect, just like that. There's Bob, the computer's on fire. Won't you help me? Well, I'm gonna go get my bucket. I'm gonna go head over. I have my appointment there with Bob, and we're gonna put this fire out. Just like that, in a really smooth, simple way. They're able to do internal planning. They're able to coordinate this end customer experience with this contact, and they're able to do this without any of this back and forth ping pong or to go through a separate tool or a separate interface there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I tell you what, this is maybe my second or third time seeing the integration work because, it's brand new, really fresh out of the box sort of integration. And that is super exciting. That is exactly the sort of thing we built TimeZest for. And as you can see, that's a process that can literally take moments. I mean, a few minutes compared to a process when you're doing it manually can take days. I mean, literally we hear weeks sometimes. And, the thing that's not super obvious about that is the impact that it has on the client's, kind of perception of what's going on. As an MSP, and I've been there as well, there's a lot of different things that you consider in the process of working a ticket. But to a client, there's really kind of just two posts you need to pass. One is they know you've heard the problem, and there's something's been done about fixing it. In this case, we've scheduled an appointment, and then the thing's resolved. As a client, that's the only two things I really care about, right? And this gets us to that first post almost immediately, and that's just something that's super exciting to see.
Totally. And when it comes to Planner, when it comes to TimeZest, it's not just my computer's on fire, please put it out for these ultra urgent items. I've talked to many MSPs who lean on TimeZest and on planning for different tactics. So say, for example, you've got a stale ticket, you've got a thread that's just been lingering and not getting resolved. One of my favorite little hacks that I've heard from partners is that they say, hey, I'll just send a booking time that'll overcome whatever inertia that contact might be having about getting back. That creates accountability for them, that creates accountability for my techs, and that's able to get over sort of whatever molasses is happening there. But it's not just about these tactics too. It's just booking time with VIPs. It allows you to serve this really nice polished experience especially if it started off in this back and forth chat that's really fluid and nimble and responsive. You're able to give a really solid experience for those contacts, and take something that's as trivial and straightforward to solve and turn it into something that felt really smooth and crisp and that felt like exceptional service magic there.
I'd like to just answer a couple questions from the chat just because they're kind of relevant. You know, we'll go back to some kind of Q&A at the end, but just things that like just what we just saw. One was asking about like a changing duration, right? And duration, don't worry so much about the thread integration for that. That's more appointment types. So, you know, if you want different durations, you want 15, 25, 35, whatever minutes, just make that an appointment type. And I believe that was a question from
Abraham.
Abraham. There, okay, cool. And then there was one other, yeah, that's right, about inviting additional guests. Two ways that would happen, right? One, your client wants to invite additional guests, and that's part and parcel of the scheduling experience. They do have a little field. You can also request like things like a phone number that will also kind of automatically go update the PSA. That's cool too. But yes, they can invite additional contacts. If you want to, as the dispatcher, invite additional team members. Won't be part of this integration, but it is pretty easy to make a panel invite. You can go check out I won't bore you guys with that thing right now, but it's what's called a panel invitation, and those are super easy to send out as well.
That's right. And even if you want to book multiple times with multiple technicians, that's something that we've heard. It's not the primary pattern that we see from folks who are doing scheduling or planning, but it's something we see where you often book an appointment for today, and maybe there might be a follow-up, and you want to have these still represented, or maybe even a secondary appointment with maybe a more specialized technician there. You're able to do this all within Planner, just as you do within your PSA, and you're still able to use that TimeZest linking. It'll work and connect. If you do that, please let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear what that experience feels and looks like for you. And we love to make it even smoother than it is.
Awesome. While we're in demo land, Josh also had a question. Mark, does it show the customer their scheduled time and date inside Messenger? If there's a meeting link, will that information also be made available inside of Messenger?
Yeah, great questions. Right now, as you saw with the demo, we started out by just showing that link and making it really easy to lean on. TimeZest already really smooth and crisp interface, which is within a separate browser space, along with the crispness of having this natively connect with my Outlook or Gmail or wherever I'm confirming this appointment there. This is one thing that we've heard from folks who are trying this out is deeper richness within Messenger. So we will be able to show in the upcoming releases, we'll show confirmation of that time. We'll be able to make it easy for you to even change or alter that time if you need to reschedule or find some way. And the same thing for the technician side as well. We'll have richer attribution for you to be able to link out directly from the planner view, from the thread view. So you don't have to switch and look in Outlook to reference all this stuff. So great questions. Do we have greater richness? Yes, coming soon. Richness for the end contact in Messenger, as well as richness for the technician to make it easy for them both to lean on chat and inbox as their single source of information there. Awesome question.
Awesome. And then Daphne also had a question about automatically sending a link for a team member who's out of office. They have automatic messaging right now. Can you talk about how we might get that worked in?
You know, I actually might be able to address that. So in this case of like an autoresponder, can't necessarily link it to a ticket yet. You guys will continue to work your magic on that. But as far as like an autoresponder, it's just another means to reach out. We do have static links. We didn't have them like 18 months ago, kind of permanent URLs. So it might be something that you haven't seen out of TimeZest. But each user not only you can create what's called a personal page, where it can be sort of a list of different appointments that they might make. But then you could also just create a URL for a specific appointment type, like a 25-minute troubleshooting, whatever. And so that link could be put in an auto response if you've got like a templated response in that case.
Yeah, these are great. I love these questions. It's like, yes, thread makes sense. TimeZest makes sense. How do we do this a little bit better? How do we do this a little bit smarter? I love those kind of questions because that's where our minds are thinking too. I see in the Q&A as well that Daphne wrote in saying, looking forward to seeing how this would work in conjunction with Cloud Radio as well. Great question. So Thread today, we support a chat integration with Cloud Radio. They're one of our first partners that we worked through because there's benefits of providing that portal experience in some cases, and then also having chat being there available. For however your customer is interacting with chat from Thread, whether it's directly within Slack or Teams, which is where they live and breathe for a lot of their end customers, whether it's through a native messenger experience where you're able to deploy a native desktop application, have it accessible there on those machines. I know Josh here is heavy on that part. If you have this embedded within a website or a landing page where you're able to have chat there, or even through Cloud Radio, whatever that form takes for you, that chat experience will be able to power all of these things, right? Have that back and forth conversation with that technician or that service manager. You're able to find that link, click on it, open it, book it, and boom, just like that, you're able to get some resolution and really nice accountability by the technician who's helping you get that computer put out, or maybe a lesser degree of priority items there.
Yeah, similar to, how Cloud Radio was y'all's first integration. TimeZest is actually, when I was working at Cloud Radio, one of our first integrations after we did like all the PSAs and stuff like that. And really it all kind of comes down to a core theme. All of the products really kind of do a similar thing that I think is magical. It's just moving the ball down the field, moving towards that resolution as fast as possible. In the case of Cloud Radio, you can even do it kind of without any sort of chat. You can, open a ticket, can do some triage there. If you're on chat, you can do some triage. But, you think about just kind of like traditionally, how long it can take to get to the point of, okay, we've set them up with like a tier 2 technician to do a troubleshooting thing. We're talking days, potentially weeks, right, of them going back and forth their busy schedules. We've got that down now to moments, which is super exciting.
And that's why it's been no surprise why our partners have pulled us in to say, hey, listen, Marc and team, if you guys are even considering doing scheduling, if you're thinking about Planner, there's no world where TimeZest is not involved there, just because it really rounds out that experience. Speaking of which, really smooth transition. Maggie, what do you say we go take a look at that, the rest of the deck? I think we talk about use cases next. And with a few folks on there, I know I see a few folks who do some scheduling, who do this pattern. I think it'd be helpful too to get some folks to hear your thoughts. What are these use cases? What are these best practices? And then how does Planner fit into this zesty integration? And then Maggie, job well done on this really pirate orange or orange pirate, whatever the relationship it slays.
Lemons also. Thank you, Seth.
That's right.
It's important. We take our citrus very seriously at TimeZest.
There we go.
Citrus is critical. It's mission critical to Thread too. Oh my gosh, pirates fought scurvy using citrus.
Right? You don't want bleeding gums. You don't want bleeding gums. You need TimeZest. That's
TimeZest. If you're a pirate,
yeah.
Fight scurvy with TimeZest. Unreal. I can't believe it took us this long to get to that amazing joke. I'm gonna milk this until I'm kicked out. Let's talk about use cases. I briefly walk through 2 major use cases we hear. I know there's some folks on here that I recognize that even have like third use cases or sort of hybrid use cases. What are use cases for planning, for scheduling? The first one that we mentioned is this internal planning for your teams. Now, when I talk to a lot of partners who have lost customers, what they say is that doing these a la carte assignments is not enough for their teams, for their operations. That even though they're able to provide these really quick responses and power it, they find that sometimes tickets in their PSA or threads, even without scheduling, get lost in sort of the bottom of the backlog here. And that because of that, in spite of all the great work they're doing, this lack of accountability or this absence of this even richer time-based accountability is really a problem and a bit of a deficit there. So this first use case for planning is heavy around internal-based scheduling. As an MSP, as a service organization, I might set up a playbook. This is something that I've seen pretty near universal across a lot of our partners. They embrace this pattern of scheduling. If a ticket comes in, if a thread comes into their inbox, the first thing they do is they find an owner. And then the second thing they'll do is they'll schedule out, or they'll plan out when that thread, when that ticket is going to be worked on. It creates not just an accountability of who, but it creates this even richer accountability around when. Now, this is a pattern that's well embraced within software development for decades. It's called Agile. It's this idea of I not just have a backlog, but I know when I'm going to be working on this within a sprint or a cycle or a period of time. And so this sort of internal Agile Kanban style approach is really well embraced by MSPs who want to make sure that nothing ever is lost out of the bottom of the barrel here. The second use case for scheduling is for these real-time synchronous appointments with your customers. And man, let me tell you, this is where TimeZest is essential, right? So there's these moments, whether you're using it as a tactic to overcome some inertia, whether you're providing a great customer experience and you want to be able to sprinkle some magic there, or you just simply need to find a moment to put a fire out with physical water. You got to book time for that. And you want to make sure that the laptop's going to be there. So you need to book these real-time appointments right there. That's where really Planner meets TimeZest comes into a really great way. You're not just booking internal appointments, but you're asking your contact to meet you as well. And the PSA doesn't make this easy, right? The PSA does not make this easy for the contact to have an experience and to have that meeting appointment. And so that's where TimeZest really comes in. It's, as a technician, I'm able to create this link. I'm able to send this out. The contact does all the work. They can look at my text calendar based upon when they're available versus this kind of back and forth of giving options and looking at calendars. And then super easily, when the appointment is booked, it not just is confirmation for the contact, but it syncs with the PSA, it syncs with Thread, and it really rounds out with all of your calendaring and appointment tools there for you. And so those are the two main use cases that I see with scheduling, with planning. Curious as well from folks in the channel and as well from Seth and Maggie too, if there's any other interesting kind of like hybrid or different use cases for planning. Just curious. Let me take a look at the chat. Let's see here. Cool. Okay, so I'm seeing some confirmation. Looks like some folks are using TimeZest and planning in some capacity that they generally map to those two.
Yeah.
Let's talk about best practices. Seth, I know I mentioned a few sort of, like in terms of like applications of TimeZest here. Like one is around making time for a VIP and giving like a very white glove experience to someone that we think deems a really good experience. And so calendaring could really come into play. I'm curious as well from your Zesty customers who share all of the wins from using TimeZest. What other great practices come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's, as I mentioned earlier, right? We started on the service desk, but then we realized, well, really everyone at the MSP can use TimeZest, and that's why we sort of brought the product to be kind of at parity with a Calendly. So your sales teams can use it, executives can use it, account managers can use it, heck, even billing can use it. Right, like you hit the nail on the head, especially with VIPs, right? And sales, account management, you're trying to get a QBR scheduled. You're trying to get a preliminary sort of meeting scheduled to in the process of sales. You're typically trying to get time with someone who's really busy. They're typically leading a business. Those people are typically very, very busy. And so showing them the respect, right, to make sure that they can quickly do this and have all of your available times instead of maybe just what the tech's favorite times to take meetings versus, all the times they're actually working, can be really useful. There's also, a use for this in projects. Hey, you're doing a big deployment. You're going to have a tech on site all week, right? You want to future schedule some appointments so that when they're actually on site, they can start setting up workstations or servers, that sort of stuff. Great way to do that. We have a little pod within the scheduling part of ConnectWise. So I'm sorry, the projects portion of ConnectWise, you can do some of that there. QBRs in general, right? A whole lot easier to do. One that was kind of taught to us recently by customers was when they deploy hardware. You say you bench a server or a workstation, you send it to a client. Last thing you want them to do is just start opening up and get their grubby paws on it and start messing the thing back up and undoing all the work that you just did on it. So you got to schedule some time with them. We see people actually pop in QR codes on those boxes saying, with simple instructions, scan the QR code, set up a meeting so that we can walk you through setting this up instead of you just doing whatever you think you should when you unbox this hardware. Lastly too, as we were talking about panel scheduling earlier, right? It doesn't just have to be with one person. It can be with up to 4 people from your side, and then show them the combined availability. So say you need to get a sales resource who's only in 365, right, on with a technician that actually knows what they're talking about, that only works out of a PSA calendar. We can actually look at both those calendars. We're the only scheduling software in the world that can do that, to give sort of a combined picture to the client to schedule that time. Another way is just speed that process up, because especially when you got multiple people inside, there's then multiple schedules to start coordinating. That's just something that you can automate.
Awesome. Thanks so much for talking through that with us, Seth. I know we have another point on here, but we've got about 7 minutes left. I do have a couple more questions for you guys, and feel free to keep posting them in the chat. I have someone asking, this integration sounds awesome. How can I get involved? Let me get my hands on it.
Ooh, great question. Well, if you are not already a TimeZest customer, I highly recommend first following Seth, going to the Zesty TimeZest team. Take a look and get familiar with the product. I would recommend it. It's very easy to set up an account and to get started with the trial. It's quite nice. If you have TimeZest already and you are a Thread user, we'd love to have you. Planner is currently in private beta. If you do not have Planner, we would love to enroll you into a private beta. Simply reach out to us. Go to getthread.com/help. You'll be able to find our chat experience for our service team. Hit us up and say, hey, Mark told me to do this. I want Planner beta. Please hook me up immediately. I will swoop in and I'll say, hey, Mark here. Let's get you enrolled in the beta. That'll enroll you in with both our Planner beta as well as our integration with TimeZest there. As part of the beta, we love your feedback. Our beta partners know that I have been blowing them up, asking for questions, looking for time to chat, just so we can be able to get the best feedback that we can get there, and put this directly into the product line there. So I'd look forward to y'all signing up for the beta for Planner, using TimeZest, and letting me know what needs to be true for this to be even more magical there.
Awesome. And in that vein, Daphne is asking, is Planner included?
Included in the beta? Absolutely. So it's Planner and TimeZest are all part of the beta. Is Planner part included in Thread? Absolutely. If you are a Thread user today, you can get the Planner just by asking for the beta. The reason why, if you're using Thread and you're not seeing it, is because we've got to get you enrolled in the beta. So just message me, go to our support team, ask for Mark, and then ask for the Planner beta. We'll get you enrolled. My only ask is, as you use it, I'd love to hear feedback, and I will be hounding you for feedback. How can we make this better and make this zestier?
Awesome. Answer at your own risk. Abraham is asking, is the beta stable-ish with Autotask?
Ooh, I love that question. Is it stable-ish? Yes. However you define stable-ish, that sounds good to me. Our Planner integrations are stable with ConnectWise and Autotask, and we have a really fun announcement of a third PSA that we'll talk through later. later this month, early next month. I won't hint it away, but it'll make you feel like an angel once you've signed up and learned about it. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Is it stable? Yes, the core bread and butter, it works great. What we're working through right now in the beta is extensions to make Planner even richer. So how might you be able to see non-planned threads show up in your calendar? That's one of the largest requests we have. That makes it really easy for you to plan your day around appointments and lunch times and things like that. How might you be able to filter in and out of completed threads within that view? How might you be able to have these different entry points throughout the thread and things like that? So the integration is stable, it's stable-ish, however you want to call it, it's there. It's about making Planner really, really compelling before we bring it out to the general availability for that. To get there, just reach out, say, hey, Mark, I heard about that Zesty integration. I'm going to lean on that too. That's a great word. Hook me up, and I'll say gladly.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah. And thanks, Ricky, for dropping that link in the chat. Last question before we wrap up and give some final thoughts is, what can we expect coming down the pipeline in this integration? Is there anything you can tease as far as what we're expecting to see in the coming months?
I'll let Seth start us off.
Well,
with,
I mean, it'll be kind of up to you guys.
From TimeZest.
Yeah, in terms of TimeZest, yeah, we've got some stuff coming. We have Dispatch HQ on the way. Developers say Q3, so I hear Q4 when I hear that. But yeah, maybe Q3. I'm pretty excited about that. And that is going to be a more visual sort of representation of all the appointments that you have at your MSP. Use case for that. You got a tech who's got 8 appointments scheduled and they call in sick, right? You got to get all those rescheduled. We're turning that more into kind of a point and click experience instead of the linear having to go into each appointment and reschedule that.
Awesome. And as Seth's team continues to add depth to the TimeZest experience, the native first party experience, we'll partner with our partners to find out what makes sense to be integrated and have expressed within our inboxing and our chat products. I mentioned a little bit in terms of the context of specifically Planner meets TimeZest. We've got a few things coming up in our sleeves. Richness and deeper, more native confirmation messages and options within Messenger and chat. The same thing is true for Planner and Thread for the technician. We also have some improvements overall for Planner overall to see calendar appointments that have already been booked, to make it easy for you to book around that and not double book someone for lunch. Recommended times for when someone should be met, and other things that make it fewer clicks and much more delightful. And like I said, we'll be working really closely with Seth and his team on what is coming from the TimeZest team, so that the things that matter most from that can make its way into inbox for our integration there.
Well, thanks everyone. If we don't have any more closing thoughts, Seth also dropped his details in the chat, so please feel free to reach out to him if you have any questions about TimeZest or if you want to get involved. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks, Seth. Thanks, Mark, for the time. This was awesome. Don't forget to fight scurvy with TimeZest and Thread.
Yeah, I can't believe we didn't get there.
You need that. You're needed out there on the high seas.
You got months of scurvy fighting. TimeZest, Planner, Thread. Oh my! Fight scurvy, solve your customer's problem. That's our new slogan. Thank you, guys. You heard it here.
Arr.
Arr.
Oh, it's so good. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Seth. We'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Later,
Bye.
guys.